I still remember that afternoon like it was carved into the back of my eyelids. One of those bright suburban days where the lawns look too green, the house is too perfect, and every shadow feels like it's watching you. I wasn't out there for fun. My name's Damian Cross, and I was on an undercover assignment I'd been building for 3 long weeks. But to anyone looking from a window, it was just a guy jogging gray hoodie, black track pants, earbuds tucked in, sweat sliding down my face. That was the whole point. Don't stand out. Don't make a ripple. Blend so deep they'd never suspect you were watching them. 2 blocks ahead sat a mint blue Victorian house at 1718 Grant Avenue. From the street, it looked like any other money-soaked property. White columns, glass porch, a neat little flag flapping in the breeze. But I knew inside were crates of stolen military weapons waiting to be moved north that night. My partner Lena, parked a mile away with the surveillance van, whispered in my ear through a mic no bigger than a grain of rice. Package ETA 1700. Black sedan diplomatic plates. I murmured back without moving my lips. Copy. My pulse was steady, but my neck was prickling. I'd learned to trust that feeling, the kind you get right before something breaks bad. Sure enough, a county patrol car crept up alongside me, moving so slow it felt like a shark circling. Blue and white paint, local badge, on the door 2 uniforms inside. I kept jogging, eyes forward, telling myself, don't react, don't give them a reason. But the siren blipped once sharp and mean, and that was my cue to stop. The driver's door swung open and out stepped a man with a neck like a tree trunk and a face carved into a permanent scowl. Name tag said Lieutenant Briggs. His rookie partner hovered by the cruiser, hand brushing the butt of his sidearm like a nervous tick. Evening, Briggs said, dragging the word out. You from around here, just out for a run, I said, trying to sound like any other neighbor's kid killing time after work. My heart rate monitor showed 110, but it felt like 200. This is a private community, he said, eyes crawling over me like I was a bug. We've had calls about break-ins. Guy in a hoodie casing houses? Sound familiar? I wanted to laugh. This neighborhood hadn't had a break-in since before I got the case file. But I knew exactly what this was. Not crime, not suspicion, just my skin, my hoodie, my presence in a place they didn't think I belonged. I'm not breaking into anything, I told him, keeping my voice level. My mic crackled Lena again. Damian Sedan, 5 minutes out. You need to clear. But Briggs stepped closer, breathing stale coffee and authority. Turn around, hands on your head. It hit like a slap. 10 years in the Bureau, undercover in cartels, foreign soil war zones, and here I was being told to kneel on an American street because I fit somebody's idea of a threat. I wanted to scream, I'm the guy here to save you, but I couldn't blow my cover. Not yet. So I turned, laced my fingers, felt his hands pat me down, slow and theatrical, like a show for the neighbors. You people are always full of surprises, he muttered, just loud enough for me to hear. His rookie shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. Curtains twitched. A jogger slowed her stride to film on her phone. I was an exhibit in a zoo. Lieutenant, my wallet's at home, I said softly. I'm trying to finish my run. But he wasn't listening. He was feeding himself the story where he was the hero and I was the perp. Then came the command that crossed the line. On the ground. Face down. I froze. My mission was seconds from collapse. But if I resisted, it could turn deadly. If I complied, the traffickers would roll right past and vanish. I glanced at the street corner. I could already hear the low growl of the V8 engine. Black sedan. My window was closing. I dropped to my knees, then my stomach. Asphalt warm against my cheek. He planted a boot between my shoulder blades, pinning me like a trophy. In my ear, Lena's voice rose frantic now. Damian, the target vehicle's turning onto Grant. ETA 1 minute. My options snapped down to 1. Lieutenant, I said through clenched teeth, you're interfering with a federal operation. I'm a special agent with the FBI. Those men in that car are armed traffickers. If you don't back off, you're going to get us all killed. For a second, he hesitated, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Then the mask slammed back down. "That's a cute story," he said. "Nice try." He yanked at my arm cuffs in his other hand. The sedan rolled closer, window down. I saw the driver's eyes flat and cold. Recognized him from the surveillance photos. Viktor Mikhailov, ex-Special Forces. His stare locked on mine, and I knew he'd made me. He lifted a pistol with a suppressor, aiming not at me, but at the cop on my back. Time slowed. Asphalt smell sun in my eyes, Lena screaming my name. Instinct took over. I shoved upward with everything I had, throwing Briggs off balance, twisting out of his grip. "Gun," I yelled, not as a warning, but as an order to myself. I slammed into his legs, knocking him sideways, just as the first suppressed shot hissed past, cracking the curb where his chest had been. Chaos erupted. The second man in the sedan swung out with a short-barrel rifle and opened fire. The cruiser's windows exploded into glitter. The rookie screamed and dove behind the engine block. I hit the ground, rolled, came up on one knee next to a stunned Briggs. "Stay down," I barked, my voice cutting through the noise. "FBI inbound." Tires squealed at the far end of the block. Two black Explorers slid into position, doors flying open, agents in full gear pouring out like a wave. Federal agents, drop your weapons. Their rifles snapped to shoulders, a deadly choir of authority. Mikhailov and his driver tried to fight their way out, firing wildly, but the agents closed in, moving with precision, herding them toward the hedges. The sound was deafening pops from suppressed weapons, deeper cracks from rifles shouted commands. I crouched next to Briggs, who stared at me like I'd stepped out of a TV screen. His lips moved, but nothing came out. I could see the thought dawning in his eyes. The man he'd just humiliated had saved his life. Seconds later, the traffickers were down, weapons kicked away, wrists zip-tied. The street smelled of gunpowder and cut grass. FBI agents swarmed the scene, securing evidence, clearing civilians. Lena sprinted over and hauled me up by the elbow. "You good?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, brushing grit off my hoodie. "Just another day." Briggs was helped to his feet by the rookie, his face, pale eyes hollow. The sneer gone. The badge meant nothing now. He'd nearly destroyed an operation and gotten himself killed because he couldn't see past his own prejudice. 2 months later, we faced each other again, not on the street, but in a bland, wood-paneled hearing room downtown. I wore a suit this time, no hoodie. He wore a wrinkled gray jacket, no badge. I gave my testimony, just the facts. I didn't say racism. I didn't have to. The recording from my mic, the body cam footage from his rookie, the radio logs, they spoke louder than any speech. I watched him as the panel read their findings. His eyes were down, his shoulders slumped. Termination of employment. Possible criminal charges. His whole career reduced to paperwork and shame. The assistant director spoke about my restraint under pressure, my quick thinking. Said it saved lives and closed the case. I nodded, but there was no thrill in it. I hadn't wanted to ruin a man. I just wanted to do my job and go home alive. As the room cleared, our eyes met. There was shame, yes, but also something else, a flicker of respect maybe, or just the stunned recognition of a reality he tried to deny. I gave him a small nod, not forgiveness, not pity, just a full stop at the end of a sentence neither of us would ever forget. Walking out into the sun, I finally felt his warmth for real. No cover, no disguise, just light, and yet the weight stayed. Because this wasn't just my story or his. It was a snapshot of how quickly bias can twist duty into danger, how a badge can become a weapon when it's used to shield ego instead of protect lives. People ask me if I'm angry. Truth is, I'm tired. Tired of explaining, tired of proving my right to exist in a space. But I'm also stubborn. I still believe we can do better. That's why I stayed, why I swallowed my pride on that street, why I keep showing up. So I'll leave you with this. Have you ever watched someone's judgment warp under prejudice? Have you ever felt a badge or a uniform or a title used as a weapon instead of a promise. Tell me what you think. How do we rebuild trust between communities and the people sworn to protect them? Drop your thoughts below. We read every single one.